It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 48 of the Redirect Podcast. It is Friday, June 1st, 2018. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. I'm joined this week by Ashley and Patrick from the Black Truck team. Hello, gang.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Such an enthusiastic hello, Patrick.
You guys always give me that.
Welcome to the first of another month. Another month has gone by. Your strategies and tactics have all been deployed, and hopefully now you're looking back over all your successes. Or maybe failures. I don't know. So here we go. June. We're going to be in the thick of summer here, and I think there's a lot of industries that move up and down in the summer. We talk about cyclicality of, I always get interested in the summertime or different seasons and things like that. Some of the industries we deal with, we certainly see some cyclical changes and shifts as it pertains to search traffic. So
yeah, Michigan's West Coast suddenly competes with California in the summertime.
It's a lot happening, a lot going on, a lot of events, a lot of the weather, where everybody's like dependent on the weather, camping, where to go, recreation. The state of Michigan is big recreation.
Beer gardens, B-I-E-R.
That's right. Even though most of us will spell it as B-E-E-R.
Right.
So, yes. All right. Ashley, you had said that you would take lead off on this week's Redirect podcast.
Yes. Well, it is that time of year again. We covered Mary Meeker's Internet Trends of 2016 last year on the podcast, and she has just released the trends for 2017. She spoke about it at the Code Conference in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, speaking of California. And this is a really great batch of information that she shares based on just how things are growing or not growing, how things are being adopted or not being adopted, and even she covered a lot this year comparing U.S. and China, which is really interesting. And so I was just trying to kind of pick out some of the pieces that I felt affected me the most in my own interest as a consumer, but then as a digital marketer as well. So even though I guess one of the bigger highlights was that shipments of smartphones have dropped again, like almost flatlined compared to last year.
She didn't really give any. Did you read? You didn't read. Did you read the full study yet, or not? Because I have not read the full.
I know.
I haven't gotten the slides yet.
I flipped through the slides.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was one that stuck out to me. Was smartphone shipments have dropped, and adoption is. We can infer adoption is decreasing. Or people are buying less, I guess, is another inference. Well, they're not replacing their smartphones.
Yeah, I think that's more it. I mean, smartphone, if we go, let's just even say iPhone 2007, here we are 10, 11 years later. I know I know one person that doesn't have a smartphone. So we've talked about it before on previous episodes. Pat's brought it up before too, of like, is it really declining, or have we met this saturation point where more or less everybody has a smartphone?
Right.
I think we've definitely reached a saturation point. I think I saw something recently that says that the balance between mobile and desktop is starting to stabilize, and it's not so much one is going this way and one is going that way. It's just they're staying right there even.
Interesting.
I started to read an article about Mary Meeker's presentation, and I think I got distracted by a tab.
It's a lot of info. It's a lot of a single tab.
Yeah, and I saw on there that not only have shipments decreased, but even though that Samsung and iPhone have $1,000 smartphones now, the cost per unit has decreased quite a bit still.
Interesting.
I'm thinking some of that is to the point where it's so cheap to produce certain smartphones now that they're being given away a lot of times as bonuses or promotions, as well as there's enough Android devices out there that people can share or like pass down, or second generation user kind of things in recycling programs and reusing programs, because they're so prevalent now.
Yep.
And the old ones are modernized enough now. The old functional ones are modern enough to where they can still be used with today's features.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely know a lot of friends who have taken the cheaper route than I have, and they don't have an iPhone or an Android; they have some off brand too. So anyway, so despite maybe not despite the shipments being down, but time spent on mobile devices continues to increase. Time spent on digital devices, period, continue to increase. So in 2016, people spent an average of 5.6 hours with digital media. This is for adult users. And this year it's 5.9 hours per day.
Per day?
Per day.
5.6 to 5.9?
Which is a 4% growth. And so that is 0.6% on other connected devices. 2.1% I'm sorry, this is time, not percentages. 0.6 hours on other connected devices, 2.1 hours on desktop or laptop, and then 3.3 hours on mobile.
Yeah, so 3.3 hours of that time was on your mobile device. And I think there's a stat out there too. This goes back to 2016 data. Like by the end of 2017, you were to consume 75% of the content. So 75% of the content you consume is on a mobile device. So not a tablet, not a desktop. 75% of content is consumed on a mobile device. So that's the big thing that stood out to me, was there was a lot of mobile references in here.
Yep. And let's see, I have a couple other things that stuck out here. Transactions. 60% of reported everyday transactions over the past 10 days for the people that were surveyed. 60% of transactions were done digitally versus 40% being like in a brick and mortar. And interestingly, we always wonder how many people actually like buy things through their smart devices, their assistants and Google Home. 3% of transactions were done using a smart home device.
Interesting.
So,
is there no comparison data at this point?
There is, and let's see. Did I note what slide it was? I did. I'll dig into that. But then, related to that, 2017 is the year that Google did reach that 95% threshold for human accuracy for voice. So that was another thing.
Yeah, I think Google still continues to, from my opinion, they continue to lead the charge when it comes to voice recognition. I don't think that I think there's still a lot of mistakes in some of the other platforms. That 3% too is still, I'm going to go back to and ask. I wonder what kind of purchases those are made. I still believe that that's probably a lot of reorders. Do we know, is it movie subscriptions? Like, hey, okay, Google, rent this from Google Play, Siri, and connected with iTunes, things of that nature, or even Amazon Prime. Asking it to find this movie and then being able to rent it. That's just one example of I think many you could come up in that scenario. Most people that I've polled independently have said that they want to see things. They want to see the photos. They want to see the reviews, read the reviews. I think seeing photos and reading reviews is much accustomed to the touch and feel of an in-person interaction anymore. So,
my television triggered my Alexa device the other night.
Really?
I was watching something, I don't remember what it was, and my Alexa device is in my thermostat, and it's on the other side of the main great room in my house. And Alexa said, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand that." And that was kind of weird. I'm thinking about deactivating it to tell you the truth. Anyways.
Well, I think if we'll find the stat. We'll get deeper on the stat. We'll make sure we link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got 300 slides, 294 slides.
Mm-hmm.
Good night.
Yeah.
That's a full-time job putting that together.
But the fact that that's growing, I would be anxious to see where it goes next year, right?
Yeah, so the question was whether there was comparative data to the year before, and I don't see that.
Yeah, the adoption rate, it grew so much in 2016, 2017 of just having the devices in your home. So there probably really isn't any data, historical data, to tell how that's happening yet, because it's a new trend.
Yeah.
Well, and she covers a lot more than just like things that we focus on, maybe from a marketing perspective.
Right.
I know I tuned in on things more from a technology adoption rate. She had mentioned something about just the adoption of the internet in general in the past decade, like basically full adoption, and people being very accepting of that. Was it the dishwasher taking like 80 some years? 80 years for, okay. The speed of technological disruption is accelerating. It took about 80 years for Americans to adopt the dishwasher. The consumer internet became commonplace in less than a decade, which also leads us down the privacy segment. You know, we're all very, very in tune with checking the box, moving on because I need to get my stuff, right?
Yep.
So that's going to cause more friction for a lot of companies.
Yeah. You hear stats like that sometimes and it blows your mind. I think I saw one time that we invented the car in 1893, something along those lines, the combustion engine. And then 65, 70 years later, we were on the moon. So if you think about the history of time,
it's crazy
how quickly we went from motor to landing on the moon.
And now you carry a computer in your pocket on your phone that possesses more power than the spaceship did at the time. So.
All the data in the world is in my pocket.
That's right. Yeah. That's nuts. So big takeaways there are, I mean, certainly it's a mobile world that we live in, and that's going to continue to grow. We know the importance of what that can mean for search marketers as it relates to kind of our line of work. Are there any things that really stood out in her slides that like concerned you at all? Because you said you very much looked at it with like your personal hat on versus maybe like a business hat on. So like in terms of personal interests and things, I'm always curious. Like, are there things as it comes with technology growth and changes? Are there things that concern you and?
Yeah, I'm maybe not so much. Maybe this was a little unsettling for me. I guess I'll unpack it as I'm saying it. But she referenced a study that found that 79% of U.S. consumers are willing to share personal data for clear personal benefit, which I guess that's not surprising. It was higher than I expected it to be. I
wonder what the other question is that was asked in that study. Was it, would you check the box if you were provided with a clear, defined understanding of what your data was being used for and the outcome, or something a bit more vague?
Yeah. Of course, I don't have.
Not saying that market researchers don't. I mean, that's not my job, but I think there's a lot of questions that sometimes can be fairly misleading too. So.
Yeah, of course I didn't write down the slide number. There's 294 to sort through. So.
No, that's okay. It's okay. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of continued disruption that we're going to see. Keeping tabs on I think the two main players that she highlights are Google and Amazon. Interesting that social wasn't a huge part of her presentation, from what I found. A little bit, but not nearly as much as. Big tech companies, big tech meaning Google, Amazon is kind of the leaders in that space, a lot of that from the AI perspective. So I'm really anxious to see the 2018 trends. So this is Mary Meeker's 2018 Internet Trends Report. Mind you, it looks back at 2017. So the one we talked about before looked back at 2016. Mm-hmm. I'm anxious to see 2018 data to see interaction in a social world, because I think it's going to decrease even more.
Yeah.
So those mobile purchases too, I'm curious if that's browser purchases or in-app purchases?
You're totally.
Oh, yeah. Actually, so in-app payments, 4%. Other mobile payments, 8%.
What is a payment? Is that a purchase,
I
or
think
is
it's
that like me sending you money from a payment device, a payment app?
Transactions.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're not here to. I'm not poking too many holes in her work, but it's hard to say.
Yeah.
We don't know.
But regardless, 60% of transactions were digital, which is pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty legit. All right. Well, I'm going to completely switch gears here. I always look forward to reading what Mary Meeker comes out with and try and share it as much as I can. Recently, we have run into a couple different situations that have required our teams to advise clients or agency teams and things like that on whether or not a single site should be split up into multiple sites, or should they just stick with the single site. And as luck has it, there happened to be a question that had come out recently. So actually, Ashley and I were just discussing this earlier today. And then this information coming out from how Google views that change as well. So I would say that our stance very much is that sometimes it comes down to a brand decision where we'll definitely have input from a search and user perspective. I know I'm going to have an opinion on it from, say, a business owner's perspective and what I would or wouldn't do. But ultimately, if it's a brand decision and a move they're going to make, we're going to set the expectations out, what the risk factors are, and then develop the search strategy to move forward with it. But a question came up in comments on in social on Twitter with Google's John Mueller around the risks of breaking up a site into two different ones. So handling it via redirects, etc. So maybe the site had two different, who knows, does the site have two different audiences, that type of thing. And so what John goes on to point out is that the issues that come with this, that Google sees it, is that you now have two sites that must rank on their own instead of the one site. So the question comes back to, are the two sites going to be as visible in search as the original single site was? And Jennifer Slag from the SEM Post followed that conversation really closely. And we'll link to her comments because she went on to document the reminders from John that basically state, whenever a site redirects to another page or another site, there's a delay where Google is going through a recrawl process. It's trying to match up old pages to new pages through hopefully proper redirects and things of that nature. So there's a bit of time. There's going to be a bit of lag that happens because you're introducing a new domain, let's say. So Google has to go through and now reassociate everything that it knew about brand A with brand A and B. And I think that this is a really great point, and people need to understand that you totally can take longer for Google to go through, reprocess what has existed in the past. In our discussion earlier, Ashley, it goes back to that root question of why are we separating them out in the first place? Mm-hmm. Is it because they are two completely different audiences? Are we talking about, are we talking about renting an apartment versus buying a home? I don't want to say that those audiences can be associated. I get it. Maybe you are in a transitionary period. You sold a home. You need a place to live. I get that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, typically, someone who's looking for an apartment isn't. Maybe they're not at that point in their life where they're ready to commit to buying a home, or they don't want everything that comes along with buying a home. They just want to be an apartment dweller. I think that's okay. Yep. Two completely different audiences. So depending on the type of audience and clientele you cater to in the real estate market, if you're selling high-end condos downtown in a high-rise or a development in the burbs or executive homes versus multi-unit apartment type living, completely different audiences. I think that would be okay if the brand said, hey, we want to separate these out. And as digital marketers, as SEOs, our job is to help them understand maybe the reasons why, but also understand the risk and reward that could come with that. To be able to say it's okay to split these up. Do you want to manage 2 sites? But if that apartment one takes on, say, using that as an analogy or an example, there's probably a lot more that comes along with that. There's property management and maintenance and people wanting to be able to, maybe they want to be able to pay their rent and things like that online. So you start to go down this path of it's not just for the searcher and being able to find the information that they want, but also for existing clientele that want support for whatever it is that your brand is doing.
Yep.
I'm not going and saying that if you're a Ford Motor Company to, go down the road of running 2 completely separate, Ford trucks versus Ford cars type domains, but just thinking about it in unique situations, why you might want to break those out.
Yeah.
And good ways to go about it. I think, Ashley, you were headed down that route already. In the case we were talking about in particular, was going and looking at the popularity of those pages, of those different page grouping types, to understand how active are those users on the site now, how much value is that portion really bringing to the site, and maybe more using that as your benchmark data to say, boy, we're going to take 20% of the traffic. So 20% of the traffic goes to this type of content, and we're going to peel that off and start a whole other site. You have to be prepared to have those conversations and to document that that potentially that site, the existing legacy site's going to drop by, say, 15%, and hopefully we pick that slack up over on the new site eventually. With redirects and things like that, but we know we lose a little bit of that value to move forward in that way. So.
Yeah.
It's an immediate loss of value, but long term, it'll be a gain.
Correct. Yeah. Immediate loss of value, meaning it's going to take a while for things to re-index. But hey, can we revisit things? Can we look at it 9 months down the road, 10 months down the road? It might even take a year to look back at it and go, that was a smart move.
It also might be timely to do it in your slow season or a season when you're not dependent upon your web traffic to help you thrive through a certain season or time of year.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about how when you look at not just your own audience, but the types of competitors when you're considering breaking apart your site because you have these 2 or 3 different divisions, and then think about the competitors that you're up against too.
Great point.
In those fields, and how it could or could not help you to break off and compete better in those areas too.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I got.
So,
I'm looking at you, Pat.
I'm going to jump into a different subject altogether again. So we're going to do another spin here. So back in January of 2013, going back, Google gave us a new feature. And then on Valentine's Day of this year, they took that feature away kind of quietly. And so it's been 90 days since that has gone away, roughly. And certain segments have seen a 37% increase in image clicks. So in January 2013, there was in the Google Image tab, inside the image, you click the image and you get that black bar with the details in it. There was a button, and they added a button that said View Image.
Yeah.
And it took you to just that image. That button is gone.
Yes, I've noticed that at least.
It went away on Valentine's Day. And that was a result of Getty Images filing a complaint with the European Commission, an anti-competition complaint. So Europe and the UK has a lot of different types of laws that we are very familiar with in the last month here that are protection for consumers and businesses in the digital world. So Getty was complaining that Google was using image search or image viewing in a way that directly hindered Getty's business model. Okay, and it's copyright infringement based type stuff, and so a survey was done. An independent survey is done by the author of this article on Search Engine Land, Anthony Muller. He just published it a couple of days ago, but he interviewed 58 different companies that had at least 100,000 images in their catalog. So the segments of these 58 businesses, they could be summarized as either entertainment, photography, or news as those search areas. So very heavy image use. Yep. And the only metric he asked for was clicks from Google Images. So no other metric, just clicks from Google Images, which is honestly a metric I had never looked at and didn't even know you could find that, and I've since learned how to do it, which I'll share in a minute. But on average, it worked out to about a 37% increase in these clicks. Back in 2013, when it was rolled out, however, there was massive drops in these, very big decreases in these clicks, because it's the same question that we've always had here, is the answer box. What is the answer box doing to click-through rates? It's potentially drastically decreasing it. And this can almost be seen the same way, and I think it's maybe a precursor or an old beta version of what might be considered an answer box, by just clicking through and not actually, you can view the image without landing on the page. I know I personally use that a lot, because how many times have you found an image in an image search tab, gone to visit that page, and you can't find the image anywhere? But if you just click on the view image, you get the image right there. So the way I found this, at least in the legacy search console, I haven't dug into it on the new search console yet. And I went into our Black Truck search console to figure this out. So search console, search analytics, search type, filter for images, and then you'll have a result for Google. When you click Google, it'll show you what was in there just from that metric of an image. So that will show you if your images are driving Google clicks. In the last 28 days, we had 66 impressions with one click.
Hey,
we are not an image.
No, we're not an image heavy business.
And it was from a blog post, so that doesn't alarm me. But for industries that do rely on images, or images are a driver of what you do, or if you're a news, photography, or entertainment type business, or PR, or something that is image heavy, it's very interesting. So the big story is the way this story was written was that image SEO, quote unquote, is back from the dead, and that it's time to start really pushing that. I know that image SEO is something that I've spoken about quite a bit online and offline here, and it's something that even further, it's not just about your file size, but it's about making sure that you have the right tags and captions and all those different little bells and whistles. And right now it's going to be a good time for you to review that, because the game for images apparently has changed to the tune of a potential 37% click increase.
Well, I think it's still pretty volatile, and even more so, I would be curious to see if that date line lines up with. So there's a problem right now with featured snippets in Google, in that you can have a featured snippet that's pulling in an image and it's not your image. Meaning it's a feature. You own the featured snippet. It's your link to the content that's being pulled in, but the image is another source. And I kind of had a really good conversation with some other industry folks through social channels on this. That and it seems to be the consensus is that there's opportunity there. Some people say there's a couple naysayers that are like it's a waste of time. But similar to getting a featured snippet, you have to be ranked on the first page for the image search. So similar principles apply for having a featured snippet. that is getting that image pulled up in there too. So,
Right.
so you may not be able to win the featured snippet, but what if you can get the featured image in the featured snippet?
Yeah, and then where is it? You said the first page for a featured image. What is the first page of an image search?
Right.
Because it's scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
And I
You
know
also
at
have
some
to
point
do-
you'll
yeah.
get more will
Yeah.
load, but it's not like 10 SERPs.
Yeah, there's certainly a couple
You
other
know.
factors. There's
Yeah.
certainly a couple other factors that go into that, and if I can provide some additional insights, I will. But I think it plays in with what you were talking about here, Pat, on just the whole how does it change the game in terms of a click through rate. I think it's confusing from a user perspective, because that image is not associated with the brand.
Agreed. It tripped me up about a month ago. As soon as you started talking about that, I remembered that happened to me one time. That I saw the trusted source. Like I had an answer box come up, and I saw the trusted source URL. So I just clicked on the image to take me to the page, and it took me to something completely different. I'm like, whoa, this isn't what I just clicked on. What? This doesn't line up. And it did. I mean, I'm a marketer, and it bothered me.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to do some testing though too.
For sure.
Cool. Awesome. Man, all over the place. So we'll make sure we link to Mary Meeker's great presentation. Actually, I think that video clip is really fantastic too. It's like everything crammed into 7 minutes or 8 minutes or something like that. You get the good bits and pieces of it there from Recode. Think, and ask a lot of the hard questions, and be prepared to answer the hard questions when looking to, break a site off into two different separate entities, if you will. And then, can you dominate image search in 2018 and beyond? I think, Pat, you're headed down the right path to say you can, and certainly in certain in certain industries, images play a stronger role. So it'll be interesting to see. So check out the show notes, listen to previous episodes, and until next time, good luck.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.